Welcome to Feng Shui Living, the podcast designed for busy women who want to de-stress, live with intention, and create a home that truly supports their well-being. Each week, I'll bring you practical tips, insightful ideas, and simple strategies to enhance both your home and your life. Let's get started. Quick pause before we jump in. If you love this podcast, you will love my book, Aligned at Home. Think of it as your design and energy guidebook to creating a space that supports your well-being and your goals. You can get a signed copy over on my website, purelivingwithlisamorton.com, or snag it on Amazon or wherever you buy books. I hope you enjoy it. Hello and welcome to Feng Shui Living podcast. I am your host, Lisa Morton, and today I'm going to share my Feng Shui rules that I will and I won't break. Now, this kind of stems from, it's a joke between my husband and I, because I am a rule follower in life. When I'm out driving, I fully intentionally stop at the stop sign, so much that my husband likes to make fun of me. But I'm a rule follower. I just naturally am that way. I believe that rules out in the world are kind of to keep us safe and, for our safety and for our general well-being. Now, I'm not perfect. I'm not an angel, but I do try, to somewhat follow the rules. But I also had this realization that in my creative life, I'm not a rule follower. I just tied up teaching interior design basics, my 4-week online course, and I did a lot of talking in that class about breaking the rules. I believe that when you're in this creative flow, when you're in this flow of ideas coming forward and creativity and inspiration, that if you're hit with an idea that maybe doesn't follow the rules, that is okay. You do not need to follow the rules. You do whatever that creative inspiration tells you to do. Now, there are a lot of designers out there that will tell you this is a rule and that is a rule and what's in, what's out. Actually, one of the conversations we had in class was about accent walls. And a lot of designers will say accent walls are out. Well, who is to decide if it's in or out? It's your home. You have to look at it and you have to live with it and enjoy it. So if you want to do an accent wall, please, by all means, do an accent wall. My only comment, which I told the design class, is that when you do paint an accent wall, it changes how the room feels, right? It might make it feel more narrow. It might make it feel more wide. It might shift things around. So you need to be aware of that. If you need help, pop over to my website and sign up for one of my free 15-minute discovery calls and we can dive into that. But I just don't believe in following rules. They're general guides, but follow your heart, follow your intuition, follow your inspiration when designing. And now we move into the Feng Shui world where there are a lot of rules. There are a lot of rules, a lot of Feng Shui cures. And I actually learned from my teacher. She taught me this and I fully agree. She does not call them Feng Shui cures. A lot of people will talk about these cures here and there. And cures feels like something is wrong. And it isn't that something's wrong. It's just we can do something better. We can do something and adjust something to make you feel better. So if you hear me talking about just adjustments, that's what I'm talking about. It's just a better way to put it than telling someone you're wrong. Right? We everything we do, everything we bring into our space is some sort of Feng Shui, whether it's not so good or it's way better. And we want to shift things into that way better category. So today I'm sharing my Feng Shui rules that I will and I won't break. Because I've learned after over a decade of practicing and working in this field that there are some we can work with a little and other ones that are really just very important. And I'm going to start with number 1, which you might laugh at, but it's so important. Number 1, Feng Shui rule I will not break. The toilet lid must always be down. I always want the thing you walk into your bathroom and the first thing you see, I want it to be beautiful. I want it to be the beautiful wallpaper, the wonderful handmade cabinetry, the beautiful countertop, or the display on the counter of your candles or something, right? I don't want it to be the toilet. Okay, so think about when you walk in, what is the first thing you see? I don't want it to be that toilet. So keep the lid down. Additionally, when you keep that lid up, we're bringing in all this good energy into your home, right? And when you keep the lid up, it literally goes down the drain. Okay, it might sound silly, but it literally does. So keep the toilet lid down. Now, if you are a lid up family and you're thinking, oh boy, how are we going to do this? I've done a few different things. Number one is one time we got creative. I had a woman who had, I believe, 4 boys. Like 6 to 15-ish ages. They weren't really on board, but we had to keep their attention and keep reminding them. They would close the lid once and then never again, right? Until she'd remind them. So she got some of those really bright, colorful Post-its, every color, and every couple days she'd go in there on the inside of the lid and put a Post-it note. Put your toilet lid down. And so the color continually changing, the bright neon color and vibrancy of it caught their eye. And they're like, oh yeah. And then they got into the routine of doing it. I've designed a bunch of yoga studios over the years. And of course we want good energy in there. And there was one in particular that we wanted to make sure that the customers put down the toilet lid. And so we're trying to think what to do. And I ended up making the cutest little sign in like a 3x5 frame. And I put a little note in there. And it said, for good feng shui, close the toilet lid when you're finished. And we all had a laugh about it. And everyone who would go in there would be like, haha, that sign's so cute. Look at that. That's funny. But the key is they would close the lid. And that is what is most important. So you may want to create a cute little sign to put on the back of your toilet. It's a conversation piece that makes people laugh. Why not? That was number 1. On to number 2. This is a rule I kind of have to break once in a while. And that is putting your desk in the command position. We always want, if possible, to put your desk in the command position. This gives your body a sense of support and stability and comfort and safety. And this tells your body, it's okay. Drop your shoulders, relax, focus. Right? You don't need to worry about that exterior world. It's kind of telling it like that can go away. Focus on what you're working on right now. And you're supported while doing it. But sometimes in certain areas, especially in a home office, you just can't make it work. Sometimes you just cannot get people in the command position depending on window arrangement, where doors, if they're sharing the office with someone, if something else is happening in the office. And so I've had to learn to break this. There are other things we can do. So if you cannot get your desk in the command position, you are not doomed at all. We actually use mirrors. Mirrors are an excellent way to tell your body that, notify your body and you if anyone is walking in the room, and also just put your body at ease. Not only can you visually see if someone's walking up behind you, but it's also this subconscious reminder, almost saying, I've got your back, which I really love. So we can work with mirrors to put your body in an alternative command position. So desk in the command position, gosh, I try, but sometimes that one definitely has to break. The bed in the command position. Now, this is number 3. This is something I will never break. Well, here I am. I do break it once in a while. I just had a realization. So, just like our desk, we want to put our body, our bed, in the command position. So our headboard is against a solid wall. It's supportive. We can see the door off to a side. That is so important. But once in a while, here's the tricky part. Once in a while, you have a home with a lot of windows in the bedroom. What do? Sometimes I've had to put a bed in front of a window. Now, this is not ideal. It's so funny because it just hit me. I actually had to do this at one time. Years ago, we lived in a suburb of Cleveland called Willoughby, in this beautiful home from the 50s, a two-story home, and it was great. But the window situation in the master bedroom was not ideal. We had a door and the closet on the other wall, windows, windows, windows. What do? Well, I ended up having to put the bed in front of a window, but I energetically closed it off. I used a really solid headboard. The blinds were closed, and I arranged the drapery to be very protective. There were room darkening shades. It was almost like I created another layer of a wall, and then it almost created this extension of the bed headboard. So it was a whole thing, but it worked. So if you can't get your head against a solid wall, again, reach out, 15-minute discovery call. We'll talk deeper into that. So I really want to get you in the command position, but here's, I guess, the part is sometimes we have to create that command position creatively in a bedroom. All right. Feng Shui rules I will and won't follow. Here's one that I will follow, and that is all about faux flowers, fake flowers, silk flowers. Now, we need to acknowledge that the fake flowers, the faux flowers that they have today, some of them are incredibly beautiful. They look so real. They look so beautiful. They are not like the dusty flowers that your grandmother had, or, I always think back to everyone had the English ivy on top of their cabinets in the 90s and it was dusty. And I realized at one point, so traditionally this is seen as fake energy, which we don't want to bring in. So a lot of people will say, no, 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 no fake flowers in your home whatsoever. But I have a lot of clients that travel, that maybe have cats and they can't have plants, that just don't have a green thumb or don't have an interest in nurturing plants and flowers. So I will say to anyone who doesn't want to take care of a plant, you can bring in a bouquet of flowers for a week and then move on. It isn't a big commitment, but to those of you who don't have a green thumb and you're like, plants and flowers are not for me, I'm on board with silk flowers, fake flowers, as long as you think they're beautiful. You have to enjoy them. If you look at them and you're thinking, oh, that's fake and ugly, or oh, that reminds me of my grandmother's dusty flowers in her bathroom, then don't go for that. Maybe we can find some artwork with some nature, some plants or flowers in it instead. But if you look at it and you're like, wow, that's really pretty. Those are faux flowers, but those orchids, they're amazing. If you feel light and joy in your heart when you look at it, then go for it. Okay, so that is a rule I'm totally open to breaking. Now, here's another one that I get often. On social media, oftentimes you hear these people talking about energy and how you should never, ever, ever have a welcome mat at your front door. And so I thought this would be a good episode to address that. This is one that I'm willing to break. I have a welcome mat at my door. I think it depends. If you live in maybe an apartment or a snug community where anybody can just walk up to your door as they're walking down the street, maybe you want to refrain and have a simple mat, solid, maybe a flower design on it or some other colorful design on it and not the words welcome. because there's a belief, some people believe that if you're saying welcome on your front mat, that any energy is going to come into your home. Well, when I work with clients, we do a lot to secure the energy, to infuse energy as a sense of protection. I live in a very rural area. I mean, it's not easy. Like and at the very bottom, we have some big pillars, and I have a lot of energetic work I've done down there. I have a lot of stones buried, which maybe that's a great episode for another time, is burying stones around your property, around your home for protection. So you might hear about this whole never have a welcome mat at your front door. And that does not really pertain to Feng Shui, but I would say if you live in an apartment, in a condo, in a snug place where your neighbor literally is walking right in front of your front door, maybe you'd refrain. But if not, if someone has to drive up, get out of their car, walk up to the sidewalk, walk up to your house, I think it's okay. Additionally, if you can do other forms of protection, you can even call on the trees, the plants, the nature. Now, I know you might be like, oh, she's getting out there. But you can call on nature to protect you. Ask it to provide this protective veil around your home and around your property, and to just nurture and care for your loved ones. Okay, friends, those were my Feng Shui rules I will and I won't break. If you have some questions of rules I will and won't break, that's something that I didn't address, let me know. Maybe we'll do an episode 2. Reach out to me over on social media, or you can always respond to my weekly newsletter that comes out on Wednesday. I have some really good content coming up in the newsletter. I have some great client stories that I've prepared for it in the upcoming weeks, and really good stuff for spring. So make sure you are signed up to get my newsletter. And with that, I'll see you at our next episode. Take care. Special thanks to our sponsor, Elevated Living School of Holistic Design and Feng Shui. For more information, head over to the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share this episode with a friend. We'll see you next time.